Welcome to Music Theory Basics. Today we will be learning how to work out intervals. Every piece of music that you see, including this scale, is made up of intervals. C to D is an interval, C to E is an interval, C to F is an interval, C to G is an interval, C to A is an interval, C to B is an interval, and C to C is an interval. Intervals can start on any note. So E to G here is an interval, and F to C here is an interval. We have two different types of intervals. They can be melodic or harmonic. But what's the difference? A melodic interval is where we play one note after the other. So as you can see on the music here, we play a C first, followed by a D. What about harmonic intervals? A harmonic interval is where both notes are played simultaneously or at the same time. As you can see here, we have a D and a G, both written at the same time. So how do we know the interval's size? Let's take a look at this C major scale and label it with the degrees of the scale. This is very important to remember. C is the first degree of C major, D is the second degree of C major, E is the third degree of C major, etc. Now, when we are working out our intervals, it is very important to count from the first degree of the scale. So let's take a look at this interval. We have a C and an E. What is this interval's size? Let's write out the beginning of the scale. As you can see, this is the first, second, and third degrees of the C major scale, making this interval a third. E is a third away from C. What about this harmonic interval? We have a C and a G. Let's write out the beginning of the C major scale again and label it with the degrees of the scale. As you can see, G is the fifth degree of C major, making the interval between C and G the interval of a fifth. It is really important to remember that intervals are determined by the scale of the lower note. So even if the lower note is the second note of the interval, that is the note you will use to work out the interval. Here are some more examples. What is this interval? Let's write out the beginning of G major because our lower note is G major. Have a look at the degrees of the scale. This makes this interval a fourth. What about this interval? As you can see, the lower note is an E, so let's write out the beginning of the E major scale. As you can see, C sharp is the 6th note of the E major scale, making the interval between E and C sharp the interval of a sixth. But what about this interval? As you can see, the lower note is the 2nd note in this interval. So we will write out the B flat major scale. As you can see, E flat is the 4th note of the B flat major scale, making the interval between B flat and E flat a 4th. I hope you now feel more confident working out the numbers of your intervals, and I look forward to seeing you next week at Music Theory Basics.